Well, no, frankly, you know, it doesn't matter to me. That's what, but I can't tell you. Different lawyers charge different rates. I don't know who you're hiring, what you're doing, and that's entirely up to you.
All right. I would suggest, is this the point where I should suggest somebody, if I have somebody in mind? If I have a thought? Or no?
Your motion is on the table. You made it.
Yeah.
So I can add to it if I...
You can make a motion to amend your motion.
I don't, okay, I would like to amend the motion and have Vicky Beatty of, oh, I can't remember the name of the place.
Campbell Durant? Yeah.
Thank you, Campbell Durant. Firm out of Pittsburgh, come in and give us an honest opinion of what has occurred so that these people can trust us as we sit up here and take care of business of the people. They can trust us. Think about your votes very carefully.
What?
We're still in discussion.
Do we have a second to the amended motion?
Mrs. Dr. Sanders Day. Oh, to the amended motion, I'm sorry.
Second to the amended motion. Yeah.
Okay. Discussion or vote?
My discussion was, what are you having looked into? I mean, you made the motion, evidently you have a list right now over there that you want special counsel to look into? You have that there?
I have a list, Mr. Zerfoss. I'm not sure what list you're speaking of.
Well, you're
You
saying
want us to
what
look,
they
you
want
want
to look at.
a different council to look in to see what this council is doing illegal.
I want them to look in and make sure that what we have been doing has been legal and above board. I'm not alleging that anything is illegal. What I'm saying is I think we need to prove to the public that what we have done is legal and above board, reputable, the way it is supposed to be done, because my clear sense of the dozens of people that have approached me in the last several days have been they do not feel comfortable with this council and they do not feel that they're represented. They're very concerned. I cannot tell you how many cards I've gotten in the mail, how many phone calls I've gotten, how many emails I've gotten about these past 2 weeks. People don't trust what we're doing here right now. Okay? That's why I think we need to do it. I certainly am a believer enough to hope that what we're doing is the right thing and how we have done it, but I don't think the other people do believe that, and I think if we're really going to carry out our office with fidelity and integrity, we need to demonstrate to them that is what is occurring. Okay? I guess the period of time I would look at is how this whole turnover has happened, how we have gotten where we're at, what rules we need to be following, how these things are working, because I have to say I don't think the people believe in us very much.
Well, you had people walk out of the meeting again tonight.
No. You guys know what I'm going to vote. I'm one of 7. Make your choices.
I guess my question, Jason, would be, do we have any idea of costs going into this? I know, cost shouldn't be a factor, but, let's face it, when we get down to the bottom line.
Well, I have a question regarding cost then, because there was no contingency plan in place when we had the January 3rd meeting. No one once thought of what it would cost this borough. And no offense to Mr. Marshall, but it was never discussed of what his fees were or being the new solicitor. Nothing was done according to, I guess, 2 years ago, whenever I came on, it was totally different. Questions of how can a borough manager come back to work when her position has been tabled and her contract has been turned down, yet she resigned. I think that there are several questions that need to be asked, and to be honest with you, I don't think monetarily any of you or myself were thinking of that when we stood up and walked out and made any of these motions, because right now we're losing money probably every day. So I think at this point this would be the only logical step in order to gain back trust of this community.
How are we losing money every day? Can I ask you that?
Yes, and I can answer that.
Okay.
Mr. Marshall, have you reviewed the contract from Mrs. Freenock?
You
To this
passed
point?
that contract.
I'm sorry?
You passed that contract.
I understand that. And I asked, did he review it, was the question I asked him.
Yes, I did.
Okay? Were there provisions in there that would increase the amount of money that it cost the borough if her employment were terminated? Please answer the question that I asked you, sir.
If you want to discuss this in an open meeting, my recommendation is that there is potential litigation involved. You have the right to go into an executive session. If, however, there is no motion to that effect, I will gladly answer your questions. You have the right to waive your, essentially you're waiving your right to have confidentiality of counsel and in your discussions in that regard.
Then I withdraw my question from you, Mr. Marshall. My understanding when I read the contract was that there would be more, it would be more expensive for the borough if she were terminated than if she were to remain. If we have picked a solicitor that costs us more money than somebody who previously did, how did we come to the determination, no offense, Mr. Marshall, that we were going to pick his services? What did council look at? I wouldn't want to make something to limit the motion I'm making because I don't know what has been done correct or incorrect. If I knew that, I would tell you. But I don't know that. That's why I think we need somebody who specializes in this expertise to be able to tell us and them whether we've done things the way we're supposed to do or not. I think the cost is worth it. What's the cost of the public trust to this position? Chuck, what's it worth to you? You can't put a number on it, can you? Because it's priceless. That's why you can't put a number on it.
Okay, we got a,
Earl's not here.
Earl took a bath.
I out-talked Earl?
Do you want to make in executive session? I'll make that motion. And we can.
I'm not sure that we should do that.
There's a motion on the table.
Yeah.
And it has been seconded and we're in discussion. You can see I've been reading up on Robert's rules. I'm going to help John along.
I even brought mine tonight, so that if somebody needs to
No
read
offense,
them, they
John,
could.
but it's going to get tiring for you, I think.
Can I make a suggestion while you're in a little break?
That's up to them.
Why don't you just, like, for right now, say you're gonna explore it and get, like, a proposal to, like, officially adopt at your next, unless you have one already, like a fee proposal. I mean, if that's what you're.
Wow, that's a really professional, smart way to come at this, Mrs. Clark.
Sitting here.
Wow.
I'm just saying, like, why don't you say we make a motion that it's our intent to do this pending the review of the costs involved? That way, it doesn't cost you anything to get Vicky to give you a proposal, and then if it's too much, then don't
Be
do
all
it.
right with that.
We need to then amend your motion.
Yeah. And I would amend it to be,
Like, Earl's not here.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
In that same light, so just kind of a break, the first order of business that this council did was hire Mr. Marshall. Did you guys know how much that was going to cost?
yes.
You did. Everybody voted on it.
No, I did not
No,
vote
we
on
were
that.
not seated-
I
we
was
were
not
not here at the
seated here
point.
because there were some
They did at
issues
that
with
time.
it.
Okay.
And we had
Did you know how much it was
no,
going to cost?
we
I
had
wasn't
no
here.
input about who would be
wait a
recommended.
minute though, Mrs. Lupino, you were here
Yeah, it
because
was on
that
the
was
Saturday.
the second
The
meeting
second meeting
on
I was here,
Saturday.
yes.
And that's when Mr.
you know how
Marshall
much
was
it was
put in,
gonna
so
cost?
you did know how much Mr.
So
Marshall
you voted on
cost.
No.
something that was going to cost $1 million a session.
No, I.
So you didn't know how much it
No.
cost.
Still probably underpaid.
I believe you're right.
I mean, that's the responsibility of the council. You know what things are going to cost.
Absolutely.
So you didn't know at the time, Mrs. Lupinto,
No,
when you
no.
voted on Mr. Marshall as solicitor, what his cost would be. Did you know, Mr. Bartley, what his cost per hour was?
Yes.
Oh,
What, may I ask, since
yeah,
I was not
I
present?
don't know how much is it
No,
going to
I don't
cost.
want to ask that.
That's
No.
I mean, that's confidential, but still, have we been given that information? Have we been given that
Trying to give it
information
to
as
us.
council?
I don't know. I agreed to do the job for what Mr. French was charging.
But did we
should
receive
do
that information? We did not receive that
I don't
information.
know. I don't communicate directly with you guys unless you call and ask me a
Mr.
question.
Bosses, have you prepared that information for us?
As we got into committees, Brenda,
Have you prepared that information for
Yes,
us?
in committees we will.
Where is it?
In committees, Brenda,
it
we
to me,
will talk
please.
to. I gave Mr. Marshall a copy, I sent it over to his office, John will get me that back, I will present it to you.
What other
And-
solicitors
Why
did
did you
we?
not present it?
Listen,
Should
listen,
not we
listen.
have?
Hold on one second.
I didn't mean to bring up
We're
this.
getting into
This,
a
yeah.
variety of subjects here
Yeah.
that, number one, the way I understand it, and the way it's always been done, and everybody has, you know, before there was argument about there was a click on council before this last election occurred. Now there's an argument that the wrong click's in. You know, frankly, I don't care. My job is here to tell you what I think my legal opinion is. If you disagree with it, great, hire somebody else, that's fine, okay? And I am wrong plenty of times, the judge will tell you. You know, what I'm looking at is that, you know, normally when there is a proposed change to borough councils or whatever, because there's new people coming in, my understanding is that council asks a couple of different people if they would be interested in the position and at what rate. That's all I know that I did at this point in time. I don't know when somebody asks me whether I will actually be appointed or not.
Sure.
Okay? So, you know, that's where we stand on that.
My
And that's
comment
what,
wasn't intended
now,
Yeah.
if you want to question council about what they do, I don't know if all council discusses in advance before their meeting or not, but that is not an unusual thing, because you have new people coming in and different people can propose different people. You know, council members, to my knowledge, are not required to discuss with one another what everybody's options are or what they're going to do. They can do that in an open meeting, and a vote needs to be taken. As long as that is met, everything is fine. Okay, and if you feel you're not getting the information, that's an issue between council members that you need to discuss. But it doesn't have anything to do with the legitimacy of any vote that is taken at an open council meeting. You've had your say, that's all you're entitled to. If you don't feel you've had enough information, then you need to address that in some fashion. But once the vote's taken, you can't go back and say, well, I didn't have enough information or anything else. If the voters disagree with what one of you guys votes, they can vote them out.
Sure.
But that's it. Now, you're welcome to have anybody review what you want to review as far as the legalities of anything we do. How you go about that, whether you leave it open-ended for, you know, cost-wise or whatever, that is your choice. Okay? And so now my understanding is that we're in the discussion phase of whether or not we have an amended, or right now we have an amended motion on the table to hire a certain individual who is a municipal law expert from Pittsburgh. There is no rate established. Whether or not we want to close discussion, that needs to be done by motion.
Can I make an amendment to that as we?
You can make a motion to amend your amended motion.
Wish I could start this one almost over from the beginning again.
Do you want to withdraw your previous two motions and make a new one?
My two emotions?
Or two motions?
I would like to
Well, I've
withdraw
only
some of
got
those.
three emotions, so.
I would like to withdraw that previous one and make a new motion. I move that we investigate hiring Campbell Durant as a special counsel to come in and take in, to be frank, an open-ended look at what has occurred to make sure that we are meeting our needs of the borough and continuing to earn their trust. I think we need to see how much that's going to cost and discuss that as a council before we make a decision like that. I would like to be able to go and do that, to get some information and present a proposal to council as to what it's going to cost us roughly.
If I may, my understanding is that council is not required to vote on that. You could do your own investigation and bring it in if you want to. But you can keep your motion on the table. Once you have that information,
I think
as a council member, you're allowed to investigate and explore whatever you want. And you don't need council's authority to do that. You're welcome to talk to whoever, discuss whatever. In fact, that's probably your duty as a council member.
Are you leaving the motion on, or are you taking it off?
I'm leaving it on.
Second.
Okay, now we're gonna vote on
the issue of whether or not Mr. Noto is authorized by council to investigate, not investigate, to discuss with this particular lawyer who was named earlier about fees, the scope of their investigation and those items, and report back to council.
Okay, that's what we're voting on. Okay, Linda.
with us?
I don't know how much I.
No, we stopped when you were out, so we
Yeah.
amended it, that's the whole thing you just heard, so.
No.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Dr. Sanders Daly,
Yes.
Ms. McKenna,
I'm thinking, I've got nothing to hide, you know. We're not voting to actually do this, you're just voting to see
Give them the
cost
opportunity,
wise.
yes.
I'll go with that, yes.
Mr. Noto.